Are you telling me that one of our 30 listeners is the NSA?
Yeah, 30 listeners.
We have 30 listeners.
I'm sure there's
What are you
someone.
doing?
There's someone who's underpaid, sitting at a desk in the NSA, who has to listen to this telecommunication right now.
What if the NSA become the
See,
NSF are the bad guys? Whoa,
they're not.
NSF are the bad guys?
Somebody didn't play past the first level, am I right?
Wait a minute. NSA. NRA.
Oh no.
Oh,
USA.
we're in too deep.
Cam has discovered the national treasure.
Stop recording.
The NSA,
Stop recording.
They're listening in with their guns trained.
Hello and welcome to Please Don't Listen to This. Your life depends on it. Oh, George, did you think I was... You
I
thought
didn't know.
you were ready to launch into something else?
We're all dumb.
NSA. NASA.
Where does NPR come in?
Whoa!
National Pistol. Rifle.
I don't know. This is Seb's episode, and she chose for us... Oh God, I'm gonna see if I can do this off the top of my head.
I can do it.
It
I
is
had to Google it off.
10100110. Oh, I have it back. So it's 0101 1001.
No.
No?
Wait, I got it. Watch.
All right.
010110001.
You just said I love racism in binary.
Is that wrong?
No, you're correct.
You got it.
That's what I thought. I was like, oh, I thought you were like, was it wrong to say that?
Okay. I really should have pulled the thing up in front of me when I was reading that off.
The way I remember it is there's a couple times where they actually like sing it. So
yeah.
They sing I love racism in binary.
Oh yeah.
What?
Yeah. Actually,
How
they
did you
sing
get away
the
with
letter
this?
Y in binary.
From a band named Ayreon, I guess.
First of all, yikes.
All right. So with me today, to my right, we have the Fishman from Planet Y, Alex.
I'm actually to his left. They'll never know.
You can't just lie on the
I
air.
think one of you is a liar, but they'll never know who it is.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ. We have Mr. Connect the Dots himself, George. He's trying to get us on the track of this conspiracy.
He's roasting me for my adult onset acne. It's just...
Oh, wow.
God.
Every time I introduce you, you make me feel like shit. I feel like this is absolutely a running bit that I don't know how to stop.
I've accidentally made it a running bit. I think like the first time I was like, whoa, and then ever since then.
George just responds to being introduced the same way every time.
I'm used to my friends berating me, so it's...
I tried to come up with stuff, and now I feel bad.
Here, George. I think you have a very nice smooth face.
Oh, I know. I have smooth skin, but...
I'm very jealous.
Thank you very much.
Is that like an old-timey insult? Like, get over here, you flat face.
No, that's just a racist thing.
Yeah, I feel like...
Oh, boy.
Honestly,
And
it's
our
racist.
racism expert, Cam.
I'll be out here dropping facts all day.
On robo-racism.
Liberals hate facts.
Racism. Right. Machines.
Oh my god.
Machines.
Right, who else?
And
you
then we have the human equation, Seb.
got? I don't have a bit for that.
You shouldn't. I didn't tell you what we were going to do beforehand.
Yeah, but everybody else made a joke.
All right.
I don't
and
have
And they're all really good, too.
I am
Yeah.
your host, Nick, and regardless of where I am relative to all these other people, because I'm sure Alex is going to try and sow some more
And
dissent.
you did kill the dinosaurs.
I did
And
kill the
You
dinosaurs.
didn't ignore
Truth comes
Cam. You didn't introduce Cam.
No.
He kept interrupting me, so I just called him a racism expert.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I was...
That's enough of an intro. I mean, your reputation
You get
precedes
the whole
you, right?
thing. Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, I know that. Dude.
So, what has everyone been up to this week since the last time we recorded? Alex, I usually start with you, but I'm kind of feeling like we're going to go the other way this week.
No.
Seb, what have you been doing?
Yeah. We're going to go to the right.
I mean, I
Finally,
did
I've
the
got
same
far
thing
away.
as Alex. I played more Deus Ex.
All right.
Hell
in
yeah.
between last week and this week. I don't know, I think now I'm roughly halfway through the game, right?
Not. Well, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
With
I'm
the ship
about to
mission?
go
Yeah.
blow up a ship.
Mhm.
Now the NSA is gonna turn your microphone off again. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go blow up a ship, and then I go to Paris. Is that what happens?
I think
more or
right.
less.
Yeah, I think right after that
Yeah.
is Paris.
So I'm excited. I've been having a lot of fun with this game. It's pretty great.
I think this is the
so-
first time that after the podcast, somebody has gone back to something that someone else has suggested. I mean, I went back to Mononoke, but I didn't think of it as like I should talk about this on the next show kind of thing. But like, I feel like this is an end goal that we should try and shoot for. Like, hey,
Like, a lot of the other things we had were things that were just kind of like one and done.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
you finish it that time.
Yeah, like the
I still have
Descent.
truth about that. I've been trying to read it on my breaks, and then like I'll open it, and then I'm like, oh, but I'm gonna eat. I don't want to get anything on it. I
Yeah.
put it back in my backpack, and then
That's
I
why
eat.
I
And I'm
don't
like,
read it.
oh man, I don't want to fall
I'm
behind on
tired.
work. I better start working.
I
Yeah.
better do my job.
Yeah.
And then like Mononoke isn't that long of a series. I've
No.
already watched the whole thing. I already read Scrooge
Scrooge.
McDuck. I read all of Digital Justice,
Mhm.
which wasn't that long.
Got an overachievers.
I mean, Gunbuster,
Take
we
a
were
day
supposed
off,
to watch the
Seth.
whole thing anyway.
Yeah.
Stop consuming entertainment.
I mean, I'm just way better at this podcast than everybody else, so I don't know why you guys are even here. I'm the only one putting any effort into this.
Don't you dare say that.
I mean, I'm editing it.
You can edit the show this week.
Yeah, this week I edited the podcast. We got it on iTunes. Put it on a YouTube video.
Yeah, I mean, I got us a sponsorship deal, you know.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I mean, play us. Who we got? Is it Casper?
No, it's an Alex Ross thing.
Oh, okay.
Like-
Okay.
No, who's the other one?
We're sponsored by the
Alex
NSA.
Jones. Alex
Alex
Ross.
I was wondering
Alex-
where you were going with that.
Alex Ross is the one who paints gorgeously rendered
That's
live action superheroes.
Yeah.
Yes, we're also sponsored by Jeep. Go out and test drive a Jeep today.
And Tencent.
That's a callback.
Alright.
So yeah, you've been enjoying Deus Ex.
Yep.
You've been sticking with it. What skills have you been putting points into?
I've been kind of like doing it a little bit like, I don't know, like evenly throughout most of the ones that I use the most often. Like it's mostly like, what am I having trouble with right now? So I'll put my stuff in.
Has that led you to put any points in swimming?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have 2 or 3 points in swimming.
Swimming's so cheap. You
It-
gotta do
it's
it.
really
It's cheap and it's useful way more than you would ever think it is.
Especially in Hong Kong.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Dude, like, though they give you some
Rebreathers.
some
Yeah.
rebreathers
I mean,
a couple
jokes
times.
on you guys. When you go to the ocean lab, you're gonna be fucked.
If you're swimming
in the ocean,
No, hold on. That ocean lab. This is not really a spoiler. It is. You have to take a sub to get there. It is miles underground. So like, if you go outside while like into the water while you're from the ocean lab, you have a problem already. Like
Bottom of the ocean.
yeah, if you're like, I'm at the bottom of the ocean. Better go outside.
swim around back.
And then besides Deus Ex, I just bought 2 copies of Stardew Valley, one on the PC and one on the Switch.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly I've been playing on the Switch, but my friend was suddenly very excited about the adding multiplayer in beta. So I was like, you know what? Why don't I've had my eye on Stardew Valley for a while. It looks like a very chill game. Looks like I'd like it because like I like things like Animal Crossing. Sometimes I'll even go back to Minecraft just because it's like a mindless like I'm gonna build a house.
There's a
Get
lot of
some
mines.
stuff. It's okay.
Thanks. Okay. That's my favorite joke this month.
All right. Well, Cam, what have you been up to this week?
Wow, you didn't let me talk about Stardew
Let her
Valley.
talk
Oh,
about
all right. Yeah. Go into some Stardew Valley.
I like it. Okay.
Jesus Christ. You guys are working against me this episode. I don't know what to do about it.
Go on, Jeff.
I almost have nothing. I don't really know what to talk about. I'll just talk about the Destiny DLC that came out because I've been anticipating it for a while, and it came out on my day off, which was nice.
And it sucks, right?
We're all rooting for it to suck. It's pretty good, actually. My main disappointment is that the armor isn't as cool as I'd like it to be. Like, there's one really cool armor set for each class, but it's behind a difficult mode, so I can't just go get it, which is kind of like what we were talking about a couple weeks ago.
So you have to be good.
Yeah,
to get
they
the art.
added, like, they heard, what's cool about this game is
Did
how
they
much
hear our
respond-
episode?
Yeah, obviously Bunko is a listener. And,
They finally add Hayabusa armor. That's my question.
what else do you guys suggest? Dark Souls?
A better game.
Dark
Better
Souls
game.
armor.
They haven't put that in yet.
No.
I suggested fists as a weapon.
That's already.
Cappy as a helmet.
Not as a
Happy,
substitute for guns, though.
No. Yeah. What? Yeah, but they fixed a lot of stuff like that. There's a mode that you need like 9 people at max level. To,
Holy
like,
shit.
Yeah, like there's a big. Like, well, I guess if you were all at max level, you could probably do it with. They say you can do it with 3, but it doesn't seem possible.
Wow,
right now.
9 people. That's like so many.
Well, 9 people, but the game's fun, so it's.
Okay.
And you don't have to pay extra money to play it.
And the game.
I think the fees were online.
And the game.
I will
uh,
always give you shit for complaining about things in Destiny
Yeah.
that are worse than WoW.
Yeah. It's cool though because they did add a lot of stuff that's difficult to get, which is exactly what we were complaining about. What, like 2 episodes ago?
Yeah.
So, like-
we dug into it.
Yeah, they've made like cool weapons cooler. Like there was a railgun or a chain gun. What's the difference between a railgun and a chain gun?
Well, isn't a
railgun's
railgun like big
on a
laser?
rail.
beam
Yeah,
that's
railgun's
fast?
like the two.
Yeah, it's
One-
like a magnet
okay,
gun.
like a
yeah.
Gatling gun,
Yeah.
like the heavy.
No.
guns.
Yeah.
No,
No,
that's,
but I'm saying that's what I'm talking about.
that's
A
that's
railgun
a chain
is-
gun.
that's a chain. That's a
Yeah,
chain
that's a
gun
chain
like
gun
a
or a
mini
mini
gun.
gun.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, so it's a minigun.
Yeah.
Oh, but it's big, right? It's not mini.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, it's a very large one.
We know a lot about weapons on this podcast.
Wow, this is a far right podcast. But anyway, so it used to have a magazine of like 100 or something, and they increased it to there is no magazine. It's just all the bullets are one, capacity.
Yeah, you don't have to reload.
And it can hold 999 bullets now,
Oh,
so you
good.
can just shoot like forever. It's super cool.
Why don't they gonna put that in Splatoon?
They did, but they
No, the Splatling gun sucks
yeah,
though.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not a lot of good. But it's good. I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel like I could just go on and you guys wouldn't know what I'm talking about, and we should probably keep
Kind.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, like we have an idea. If it's something that like you care about, then we're
I only
going to
played
talk.
for 2 days anyway, so I need to get more into it.
Mm.
We also, Alex and I were playing some Splatoon
Hell yeah!
yesterday. It was pretty cool
Oh,
going back to that game.
Splatoon 2.
Splatoon.
Yeah.
Splatoon.
Splat Twan.
Splatoon.
Splatwan.
No, that's Splat 1.
We're really milking this Splatoon 2 joke. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Odd.
Guys, I was editing the show this week, and I just wanted to let you know that you guys talked about the pronunciation of Splatoon 2 for 40 minutes.
Post the cuts for this week. Cut out all dialogue.
Leave in every time we say 2.
Just so you know, Nick gives us every week a long list of all the things he cut out. So you guys should complain to him that
yes.
you didn't
We're
get to
releasing
hear
that.
all
Well,
this stuff.
we need the out. We're gonna release the outtakes.
Yeah,
We
Yeah.
need the uncut.
I need to make Nick edit together all of the outtakes.
Holy shit.
every episode.
We're also releasing it on DVD.
That's
Only
the
in the
only way you
Blu-ray
can watch
special
it
edition.
here.
All the outtakes are actually incredibly vulgar.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah,
what
you
we're
guys.
doing.
If you guys think we're edgy on the show normally, wait until you see what we don't put in.
At the beginning of every episode, I read the Wikipedia page for slur. All of them.
So George, what have you been up to this week?
Been up to, unlike you guys, some grown man stuff.
Oh,
I've
boy.
literally been like mowing my lawn. It's horrible. I hate it.
Is that gonna be your next episode?
My next,
We
my
have to mow
episode.
your lawn.
I don't think there's going to be enough time for us all to mow it in 1 week.
You guys have to mow my lawn and clean my house. Go. No,
That's a
that'd
great idea.
be- That would be a smart
That'd
move
be
on my
solid.
part.
Yeah.
But I've shown my hand at this point. No, yeah, I literally like mowed my lawn, and I've been watching. I finally finished watching a playthrough of God of War. It's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Data Boy.
Yeah, Data Boy.
Data Boy.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I hadn't read that yet.
It seems
so good.
It seems really cool. If I had a PS4, I wouldn't buy it because I've seen how it's done
You
already.
watched the whole thing.
I already watched the whole
So
thing.
you do not need to buy it.
Cat and
Hey,
George,
yeah.
don't buy.
Confirm my suspicions for me. I haven't played the game. I've watched some gameplay to see if it was going to be something I liked, and I wasn't really into it.
Should I say
But-
spoiler?
No. I mean, like, this is just a general thing. Is there a lot of the walk and talks, like like Kratos is carrying a tree or a pillar or whatever,
Not
and
too
he
much.
moves from one place to another while the game loads because it doesn't have any loading screens. I have to leave
Oh,
it in.
really quick, I liked the walk and talk, and I'm also watching the gameplay instead of playing it. And like,
There's not
I was
too much
bummed
of
that
it.
there's not more of it. Actually, I
Well, it's not like you guys are cutting into the profits of the game or anything. It's not like, oh, nobody's buying God of War.
Yeah.
We're really in trouble now.
Our $1 million God of War game's not going to sell, guys.
It definitely seemed pretty cool though.
See,
But
like
again-
that beginning sequence was the hook, and then after this, where I am right now is kind of close after that, and now it just seems like he's hitting bugs. Like it's
Yeah.
back to video game. Like he's
kill, like, a
upgrading his
bunch of
vest
bugs.
and like punching bugs.
No, I hate it when my video games have too much video game.
Honestly,
Oh, are you that guy? Are you that guy who wrote in
I-
on Mass Effect 3 a final boss fight would be too video gamey?
I prefer a cinematic experience. You know,
Oh.
20 FPS,
Oh,
only
that's why
cutscenes.
You have a PlayStation 4, so
Yeah.
yeah of course. Yeah. I remember that was one of the main reasons why I didn't get a PS4. It was like people were like, "Oh, I can't wait until Dawn comes out." I'm like, that QuickTime event game.
Yeah,
That's what
David
you can't wait
Cage?
for.
Never heard of it.
And then like I
If
never heard
only-
it was big until like
George,
the Uncharted
if
games.
only we were friends at the time, I could have told you the only reason I was buying this piece of shit console is because Street Fighter was coming out on
That's
it.
actually the only reason why I want it now. Is just
Yeah.
because Street Fighter. But I technically own a copy of Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
I bought Street Fighter 5 the day it came out and thought maybe it would run on my laptop because for some reason I trusted my dad, who knows something. He knows a little bit about computers. And he was like, "Yeah, that laptop is like
oh,
it's
that
not
brand
too
new
old."
game? You can run that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
the
"Oh, it's not
newest
that old."
game at this time.
It's dead wrong. It's dead
Technically the
wrong.
most new game.
The
I should have
newest
thought
game
about
at
it.
the time that most heavily
The minute it
involves
came
audio
out,
input.
it was the newest game.
Yeah, yeah.
I should have
I
thought
was
about
doing
it.
that with Hunter on the DLC. We were playing it, and I'm like, "This looks beautiful, pretty good." But I mean, it is the newest game out. The most recent.
I
Game.
remember you did that to me too when we first got Monster Hunter. You came in and you were like, "Wow, this game looks really good." I'm like, "It came out today."
Yeah.
You know, for its time, Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World's.
I mean, it really hasn't aged well, though.
Oh man. Speaking
So,
of not aging well.
Oh, Alex, yeah.
Oh.
Whoa! Yeah, Our
you've only
listeners
known him
can't
for
see.
like a year and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I've actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Actually, I want to talk about.
I was about to drop a sick fucking joke, but George just quick cut me off.
Go.
No, see, now you fucked it up.
I apologize.
Well, see, and playing Celeste over the last 2 weeks has aged me about a decade. You know?
Oh. Man, good joke, guy. No,
Oh, yeah?
I liked
George,
it.
fuck off, by the way.
I was gonna mention. Nick mentioned how I only known Alex for about a year and a half ish.
Yeah,
I actually met Alex playing Pokemon.
yeah, I beat him up.
Yeah, basically what happened was Nick didn't prep me for the right person.
Oh, God.
Nick was like, "Oh, we have this other friend that's really good at every single game, and he's really good at Pokemon too."
Talking to Alex.
I just thought Alex was just like, "All right." They were like, "Oh, and Alex will be there." I was like, "Oh, okay, sweet, cool." Didn't prep. I got washed in grains. It hurt
It's
a lot.
almost like a trend in every time we play Pokemon is
Oh.
you're not prepared.
The last time was I was too big brain. I was like, I'm gonna
You
get
had
a sick
months.
setup.
Not like a year.
Pokemon came out in 1995.
Pokemon came out 200 years ago.
No, my thing was I had a
Hey
sick.
guys, thinking about running a tournament in 100 years? You guys gonna be ready for that?
Nah.
George still isn't ready.
Super busy.
I waited
I've got
about
something coming up
7
then.
months to train my team, and when the day came, I didn't even have a trained team. I reused most of my Pokemon.
Down to the second he was doing shit. Yeah, so, if George is done
I'm
interrupting
done.
well, I've been playing Splatoon 2, as Cam said. Pretty fun. I haven't put more than like 2 hours into it, but pretty cool. I've also been playing Stardew Valley. I played a lot less than Seb has.
We both bought it for the Switch yesterday.
Yeah, and she's
Was
probably
there
put.
communication at all, or
Huh?
No.
by chance?
No, they
Just
both.
by chance.
So they both walked in
We both
like
went to
five.
the Nintendo eShop and we're like, "Oh, what's a game that's on here?"
Well, I have
Oh,
these
Stardew
4,
Valley.
so the last one would be.
Yeah.
Well, I
You can't even make that joke anymore because now there's like a bunch of games on it. You just
I'll
haven't.
believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
No, don't show me.
He doesn't want to believe. That's why he's not looking.
So yeah, I've been playing through Celeste. I just died 2,300 times on the World 7 B-side. Finally finished it. Almost done with the normal difficulty levels in the game. Then I get to do all of the C-sides, which are super sadistic, crazy hard levels. So hopefully I'll be done with that.
So there's 3 versions of every level?
Yeah, I have heard that the C-sides like are shorter, and they kind of take like a weird mechanic or like a strange version of one of the gimmicks and kind of do that for a little while.
Huh.
So it'll introduce some crazy tech or some like weird way to use one of the already established gimmicks. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the fuck they decide to pull out.
Yeah.
Because they've
That's
already introduced some crazy stuff. I was freaking out. This level that I had spent probably an hour on, right at the end, 4 screens from the end introduces a new mechanic based on your already existing abilities, and I was freaking the fuck out. But great game. Yeah.
All right. Once again, it falls to me to be the only person who has something to say that's not about video games. No, but first let me talk about video. But first,
I do nothing else.
But first, let me talk about video games a little bit. Alex, I've had this game for a while, but you talked about it a little bit last week, and I thought maybe I should finally try it out, especially since Cam was playing Destiny the whole time. Cam was playing Destiny all this week, and for the listeners out there, we share a console and house. So
family.
and
I don't
family.
recommend
Genetics.
Would not recommend it, but so because he was using the PS4, I couldn't get my ass kicked at Neo anymore, and I was just
trying to help you.
I think you might actually have done that. This week, I decided to take Alex's advice and play a little bit of System Shock 2, a game that has also aged kind of poorly, but has a lot of.
It's aged even poorly.
It's aged even poorer than Deus Ex.
Yeah.
It aged like fine milk.
But basically every time there's a first-person game where you explore a place that isn't Metroid Prime, it's taken something from System Shock 2. Like,
Pretty much, yeah.
because they're all stealing from BioShock, and they think that was the first one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, all right, there we go.
BioShock, System Shock,
Yep.
Sun Shock. I can't.
System Shock 1, System
And
Shock
R.
2,
People
BioShock 1.
people were saying that
BioShock
BioShock Infinite should have been called Skyoshock.
No.
No, yes. He's right.
They're
right, actually.
But you're working backwards. Of course, you wake up in a cryotube like after the events of everything have gone wrong on this ship, and basically the only information you're getting is from disembodied voices, whether it's from audio logs back in 1998 or 1999. So before that was a hack cliche that everyone did in all of their games. It was new and fresh in System Shock 2.
It's fun environmental storytelling.
Yeah, fun environmental storytelling before every other game in the universe decided, like, this is the only way we can tell a story and have it be believable. If everyone's just leaving around cassette tapes of them beatboxing over NBC sitcoms.
They have like
What?
No, they need to have it.
You never played that game, dude?
That's what cassettes are in the real world. That's cassettes. Cassettes are people doing stuff like this where they're just riffing like, oh, here's my radio show. Nobody's like, I better leave this cassette tape of my important scientific discovery.
I meant
of
the backing track was an NBC sitcom, and then they were beatboxing over it.
Yeah.
That's what I heard too.
That's what you do.
That's what I meant. But it's
I
like
have to go.
They need to have it.
Something on my
So every cassette is actually like a 90s voicemail box. So they have like a beat going on in the back. And it's like, my name is George and I'm here to say, leave a message before you go away.
that is exactly it though. Like I feel like if you were I don't know, explore, like, let's say
I would
everyone,
read tapes like
yeah,
that.
everyone in the town of Groton mysteriously died. Some video game protagonist has to pick up all our tapes. 90% of them are going to be tapes like that.
Right.
They're going to be tapes of me explaining this cliche on the show, and these guys going to be like, man, I hope he says something useful. By the way, if you're listening, video game protagonist, the code to the door outside is 0125.
It's actually 0451.
Oh,
If you're gonna pull out this,
are you going to pull out that sick reference?
Don't listen to them. It's 6969.
No, it's
Please.
80085.
Actually, I think the System Shock 2 code is actually 45100.
It is. That's the first code
Yeah.
in the game.
Not 420.
The
No.
code for this episode.
The code for this episode, if
001.
if you are in this episode and you need to get out, the code.
Yeah.
Hey,
Code
This
is-
week we're
hey,
sponsored
get
by
lied, dude.
This week we're sponsored by Audible.com. Enter the code 45100 at checkout
That's so funny. That was okay.
for 20% off your order.
Protagonist. The code is
010110001.
That's going to get them into the door to this podcast. So I hope you're ready for a video game protagonist to come in and I don't know, look through all our drawers.
I don't have any
That's
useful
actually
items.
Nick's SoundCloud password.
The Sour Patch Kids look pretty useful over there.
There's a med kit in
I
there.
was
You have
eyeing
have
them.
some.
I don't
I'm
wanna
not
make the
eating on
noise.
podcast. I'm not rude.
Okay, so the other thing I did this week, on Saturday, it was the first Saturday in May, and that means free comic book day.
You went?
I didn't go because
I forgot about that.
I
totally
didn't go because we had some other stuff that I needed to get done that day. But I then went later and picked up some other stuff. Because they still had piles lying around from Free Comic Book Day,
Nice.
and I got. Oh god, I want to make sure I pronounce his name right because I really
You got
respect him as a
Hulk
writer.
61 guys.
No,
That's right.
okay.
I'm waiting for
Okay.
69.
I'm reading that it
I've seen some
pronounced.
footage.
Oh,
I'm
man.
reading that it's pronounced Tanahashi.
Man.
Oh,
Ta- Tanahashi Coates. So he's an author. He's had multiple best-selling books, but Marvel tapped him a couple years ago to start writing Black Panther. And starting this year, I believe his first issue comes out on the 4th of July. He's on Captain America.
Cool.
And they showed a preview of the first storyline, and I want to say that like I have a ton of respect for him because this is the first time I've ever read a Cape comic that had tackled politics and wasn't cowardly about it. It wasn't like, oh, well, maybe both sides have
Yeah.
something to say, or well, I guess we don't have time to debate that political issue because Thanos showed
it's
up,
an
or
alien,
like
yeah.
whatever that.
What about that time Captain America beat up Nuke and he was like, oh, we should stop bombing kids because
I want you to guess what happens in this issue
he beats up Nuke again.
because
The same reason he's bombing kids.
this. So Ta-Nehisi Coates has clearly read some Captain America,
Yeah.
and two, knows like what the character is about.
Yeah.
The main villain has been cloning Nuke because they know that he's a reliable soldier who will do whatever she
Wow.
says.
Oh,
And
quick thing.
Yeah.
For those who don't know who Nuke is.
Oh, yeah, I
Nuke
probably should
is
fucking explain that.
essentially- Think of the most obnoxiously patriotic person from your hometown and give him like 10 guns and cybernetic parts.
yeah, and
That's it.
instead of
Think of
Uh,
Facebook warrior.
Think of
Yeah.
like a hardcore Facebook warrior.
and think of him as the guy who takes DMT, but it actually does make him stronger instead of making him think that he gets
Is
stronger.
DMT the stuff Alex Jones takes? I need to take that
Oh,
stuff.
brain
That guy's
force.
huge.
I thought Alex Jones just ate a lot of chili.
He used to when his wife would make it, but now he's divorced.
It was more of like a family dinner, but he doesn't really have
Oh
those
boy.
anymore.
Okay,
Come
so
on, show
anyway,
Alex Jones.
Ta-Nehisi Coates,
Yeah,
a ton of respect for him. His Black Panther run is really good. If you're looking for any good Black Panther comics, I recommend his run, which is extremely recent and easy to find, and the run by Christopher Priest, which is fantastic, and it has a lot to deal with people talking to Black Panther like, oh, well, we need your help with this because you're the black guy. And he's like, please stop that.
Like, hey, Black Panther, Kanye West is just so
Yeah.
wild
Can you
on
talk some
Twitter.
sense into him?
I
Oh.
tried to read that one and I didn't really like it. That's the one where you have like the white, the insert you character, and they're like, oh, is like that? Wow, what's the pilot guy? The one who was the Hobbit guy in the
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
I didn't like that guy was so annoying, and you pretty much, it's from his perspective, isn't it?
Well,
At
that's
least
part
the
of what.
first couple issues.
That's actually something that I like, is because it lets you enter Wakanda as an outsider from the start,
Yeah.
and that way there's a reason for stuff to be explained to you, because Black Panther's lived there his whole life. He knows what Wakanda is. He's not going to be like, yes, this is our subway. It's much faster and better than all the American subways. He wouldn't just say that to anyone. He wouldn't just say that to his fucking
he's not
sister.
living in Japan. Why would they just say that?
Also, no disrespect to anyone that's really patriotic. I still wear my red, white, and blue bandana.
I have a lot of disrespect.
I wouldn't make much disrespect to you actually very patriotic.
All right, never mind. I wasn't sure if you guys were in on it. Just kidding.
The character of Nuke literally paints a flag on his face. I think at one point it was a tattoo. I don't know if that's still canon.
It's probably a tattoo.
And in the Marvel TV series, it's John.
Yeah, and in the Marvel TV series, he's also... He's in
Agents of
Jessica Jones.
He's in
Jessica
Jones.
Really good.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it's a fantastic reveal.
Two,
if you,
yeah.
Oh yes.
I watched season 2.
No,
you did?
So hard.
No, I didn't. I didn't think. I felt like it wouldn't feel the same without Graves.
I was gonna watch it, and then there is a scene that's been floating around Tumblr where a fat guy has super speed. And it looks like shit. I might have to put it in the show notes. It looks like garbage.
Welcome to the Marvel cast. All things Marvel, all the time.
If this is going to be the Marvel cast, I want to say right now, I gave Ta-Nehisi Coates credit for his Black Panther stuff and for that Captain America run that is coming up and looks very good. Most of Marvel going on right now is really terrible, and they have been for a couple of years. I cannot believe they have botched it so badly on the comics front. Like,
but Captain America's a Nazi sometimes.
Yeah, you're telling me that's bad?
That arc is so bad.
I know it's bad.
Oh God, it's an
What
event.
do you mean?
It's
You can't even say it. You can't even.
I was going to say, what's less American than Nazi?
All American Nazism. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to be back with Seb's episode. You want to say the title so I don't embarrass myself trying to get it again? This episode is on
01011001.
All right.
Back after a word from responses.
Stop that.
We now return with 01011001 on Please Don't Listen to This. Your life depends on it.
So we're coming back in. For real this time. We're actually gonna fucking be ready for it. This time we are talking about Ayreon's this is their third album?
No.
Way later.
It's way later?
Yeah, I think it was the 6th. Sorry, I lost my Wikipedia. 7th.
Okay.
Yep.
Ayreon's 7th album.
Yep.
01
01011001.
Okay, thank you.
Even he just refers to it as 01.
Okay.
It's rhythmic because it's 1 0 and then 1 1 and then 2 and then
0 1
No,
0 1
it's
0 1.
1 0.
I thought of it
And then
in
2 ones,
pairs,
and
and
then
that's
2
how I
zeros,
remembered it
and
when I
then
was Googling it.
1
But
1.
now that I'm on mic, I can't remember for shit what it is. I've had to try and say it 6 times.
Let's just call it the hour and 40-minute album.
Because it's the only one that's ever an hour recording.
Yeah, no one has ever.
They'll know what we're talking.
No one has ever recorded music for that long in history.
I don't think anyone's ever made a recording that long.
So you want to give us a little bit of an intro, set us up what the album's
Sing a couple
about.
of the songs and
we don't have time for that.
we have an hour and 40 minutes.
So this is an album. It's the binary for the letter Y, which is relevant to the background. But first of all,
why would you make an album that long?
and
I'm gonna run this joke
why
into the
do
ground.
you hate this so
It's
much?
so easy to do the why thing, though. I just have to.
I know. And I'm sure he didn't do that like on accident either.
Yeah.
But so yeah, Ayreon. I'll go into some background about Ayreon. Is like a musical project by this guy named Arjen Lucassen, who is from the Netherlands. I think last time I was like, I think he's like Swedish, because like half the people I listen to are Scandinavian, or in terms of metal. So yeah, he's got a ton of different musical projects that are all like concept stuff. Like he's got Star One, which is more like space themed. He's got like a few other ones. But anyway, yeah, so he started this project, this Ayreon project, back in 1996. The first album on it was The Final Experiment. And
It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
So what's fun about this whole musical project is that most of the albums actually link together. And this, I mean, depending on how you view how the timeline goes, this album is chronologically in the story the last one, despite the newest album that came out is like the prequel to this album. It's like really weird time travel shit. But yeah, so this album is a concept album about a race of people who live on an aquatic planet who have been their society has advanced so far that they are dependent on machines to be alive, and they've kind of lost their humanity, or whatever term you would use for them.
Fishmanity.
Their alienanity.
Everyone trips over themselves to make a dumb joke at the
They
same
all
time.
suck.
I think I like George's the best. Alienanity. You said fishanity.
Yeah, and it was great.
Sticking to it.
Stand by it.
Yeah, so they've lost their humanity really, and they're like, man, this fucking sucks.
I wish I could be sad.
we need to link your picture.
Yeah.
in.
I'm gonna make it the
Cam-
art for the show.
Yeah, Cam made some beautiful fan art of this album. So they're like, man, this sucks. Like, what happened to us? So they realize they can't really go back. So they figure out they're going to plant sentient life on another planet, Earth, and live vicariously through this new race that they create.
Just like how parents do with their children.
Oh yeah.
It's really kind of a
just like
metaphor if you think
Is that
about
the
it.
message?
that.
So, do we want to jump right into impressions? Did you want to
I'm
do any
gonna-
more on the history of this
Yeah.
album?
Well, yeah. I wanted to kind of finish up the synopsis here.
Okay.
Because I know not everyone besides Matt probably listened to it. So basically what happens is they send they send like extremophiles on a comet. The comet smashes into Earth and it kills all the dinosaurs, and then the seeds of humanity are planted. And as
Gross.
they grow, as they grow, this race on planet Y is like kind of like molding them and shaping them and kind of pushing them in the right direction. But ends up they kind of ruined the planet, and humanity doesn't really do so great.
Yeah,
and they all destroy themselves.
I wasn't sure whether Seb was going to go all the way with the plot analysis, but
I think
not to spoil it for you guys, but the last song on the album has the word extinction in it, so we're gonna.
So does one of the other songs.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, well, nobody cares about the dinosaurs.
There's the fifth extinction and the sixth extinction, which I think is referring to the Holocene extinction
Really
currently
interesting.
happening
Absolutely.
in real life. But yeah, so this album, I'm gonna talk about how I found it. So I don't think this was the first Ayreon stuff that I listened to. I think it was from the second album, Actual Fantasy. I listened to the first song I ever listened to Ayreon was Abbey of Sin, SYNN, I believe.
Of course.
Haven't you ever recorded an album before, Cam? You can't just make it what
I'm
it.
working on it.
So I listened to that. I think I found it on. Do you guys ever remember a service called Groove Shark?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I really take
That's
it back.
actually also how I found Camelot.
That's actually a species on the planet Y, since they're all fish people.
Oh yeah, there's the
A
Groove
Groove
Shark,
Shark.
Yeah.
Jam
Damn it.
Shark.
The shark has a bunch of grooves.
Yeah, and then I kind of like gradually got into more of Ayreon stuff, and this was the first album by Ayreon that I actually bought, and it's been one of my favorites since then. I got called out for liking things from 2007. This is from
Old
2008.
How can you like
Too
old music?
old.
I was gonna make a
Too
joke about
old.
that. I was hoping you wouldn't realize it. I was just gonna-
I said last time we're not stuck in 2007,
Yeah.
so we're listening to an album from 2008.
I almost put
Spotify.
something in the edit. I almost put something in the edit about that because I thought there's no way she didn't do that on
I
purpose.
did
It's
it
way
semi
too.
on purpose.
It's way too funny for it not to have been on
It
purpose.
literally came out in January 2000.
Yeah,
On
yeah,
Spotify.
yeah. We're not stuck in 2007 anymore. One day
We're-
later.
The future.
Well, on Spotify, it says it came out January 1st, 2008, which Wikipedia says otherwise.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, Spotify's like.
Spotify is like
kinda
2008,
weird.
probably the first day.
Yeah.
Or it'll tell you
That'd
something
be a
from
good
like
time.
years ago came out the year they put it on Spotify.
Mhm.
So I don't know what's up with
Sometimes
that.
for stuff like that, I might think it could be like a re-release or a remaster that they just didn't name like remaster.
If there was any time to re-release this album, it would be right now because it's the 10th anniversary, pretty much.
I have some impressions.
Thanks.
You're
Now-
old.
I'm
not gonna go into
I-
it.
Yeah.
out of the
Well,
people
we'll go-
here,
we'll go
I
around this
expected
way.
you and Cam would like it the least.
Well,
Probably.
I didn't like necessarily. We'll go into it.
Oh, well,
yeah.
we can
No.
jump
Like,
around
we
on
should
seven
start with
Yeah.
with Cam
We'll
because
start with Cam.
I went last with the weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is this a good album? Probably. Did I like it? No. Like, I can tell that it's musically like I can't
You
believe
can
that.
tell it's music.
Yeah. I can tell that the noises were supposed to appeal to me.
Yeah.
No, but like one thing I read about is that there were like 17 singers on it.
Yeah,
Like, it's nuts
that's
how
the
much went
thing
into this.
Ayreon does with every single album. Every single album is supposed to be a rock opera.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's never had a chance to perform any of them because they all come from different
And no one would like
bands.
pay to see it.
A lot of people pay to see that shit. Wow.
No, I agree with
They
something that
performed
I think
They've performed one album one time, and that was a while
they
ago.
couldn't
I think
fit
it was
all
like one of the
people in
first
room.
few albums.
The stage wasn't big enough.
No, like they're all from like a lot of them now are from like big names. They're from like Blind Guardian on this album, Nightwish, After Forever. They're from like a lot of different like big names. So it's hard to get them all in one place. And Matt also said, "Wow, they all really sound like they came off their." I'm sorry, I'm not.
This is
You-
gonna be
Alright.
the Matt
It's
call
gonna
Yeah.
be we're calling
You
out
can
the
have
one
different
person who was
opinions
nice
than
enough
me,
to
but I
listen
have
to
some
this.
counterpoints.
All right, so
Uh,
hold on. I want to cut in here
That kind of
because
defeats
this is like the first person who has ever sent us fan mail, and it was
We appreciate
to.
it.
Fan mail
Really?
gets complaints?
No,
Oh no,
It wasn't all
a
good.
Yeah,
You
it
said some
wasn't-
positive things.
It wasn't a complaint about the show, which I'm honestly shocked we haven't
Please
received any
don't
yet.
send us complaints.
Yeah, send us complaints about the show so we can improve it because
Email us your complaints.
we're just gonna keep it this bad if nobody sends us anything.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all downhill, boys.
But yeah, no, I really do appreciate that somebody actually like I had the impression that Matt was a little bit of a metalhead, like when he called me out for like Nightwish. I also get the impression that we have very different tastes in metal. Yeah, it would be really difficult to get all these people in one place together. And they were probably a lot of them were probably also just getting off tour because they were all from big bands. Anyway, Cam.
Nick was good. Are you pulling it up still, or you want to talk about it?
Yes. So we received our first piece of fan mail ever from a friend of the show, Matt Gentry, who inspired Seb to pick this album in the first place. Because he knew that we were going to be talking about it, he sent us his impressions so that we could...
And I think we should, if people are listening to this, it's encouraged to, since we know what we're going to be doing next week, it'd be cool if people did the same thing and then sent in stuff.
Yeah,
No,
you
yeah, I
get a
really like
sick
that-
shout out
that
if
you
you
did
want
that.
to.
Yeah, we're happy if you want to send us your thoughts on something that we are about to talk about. You are more than welcome to do it.
It's really interesting to see what other people think, and it's also kind of cool because sometimes we will there'll be some overlap.
Oh yeah, we might
some
have a hive mind, so it'll be interesting to see what some other people think. I'm gonna read off Matt's impressions because they're definitely gonna be shorter than all of ours, I'm sure. Matt's impressions. He said entirely too much synth usage, which
I
can,
fucking love the synth.
I have a counterpoint to that.
situation.
I'm gonna get through these, all right?
Can't
Look,
debate every
yeah,
lie.
yeah,
I'm
we-
not debating.
Guys,
I've just
this
got-
podcast has to end at some point. I hate to
How
break it
about
to you.
You can have your own opinions,
As long
but
as
say
they're the
we'll
right
have
opinions.
counterpoints.
That's not.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
we have a
arguing with
counterpoint
you.
to every point on Matt's thing. It's
I
gonna be
really
a-
Yeah,
don't
we can't
like-
do every show where
50
you two
minutes
going
show.
back
No.
and forth.
Like I don't have a counterpoint to the worst line ever written in metal. So
Oh, by the way, that is, according to Matt, a line from Connect the Dots off of this album. I checked the Mac and left it on overnight, downloading all the latest files. And he said those are the worst lyrics in the history of metal. And, you know...
I'm not gonna disagree.
He also said it was technically proficient, but low energy. The album, not the actual recording quality, just the energy, sounds like it was recorded on the final night of a year-long tour where the musicians just didn't have any juice left. He also said the lyrics sound like poetry I would have written in 2007 as an edgy 12-year-old, but they
I
were
like it
written
that
in
way.
2007 by actual adult human beings who should have known better. This is a concept album, and the concept has merit, it's just poorly executed. This album has chrono-locked itself in 2008, lyrically and stylistically.
I like it that way.
He said River of Time is a sick song, and he said the only way I can see this making sense is with visual media to accompany it. I would watch the shit out of a live theater production with this as the soundtrack. So, Cam, your impressions on the album. You say that some people were, you know that it's music. You
Yeah,
brought that
I
up.
could tell that the sounds were music. I actually did really like the music. The music was great. I'm with Matt, and I really didn't like the lyrics. I think it's partly that I also don't like musicals very much, and if a song is like more of a story song, I'm not really into it. Like in that, like all genres, I'm not really into like. I mean, it's a horrible example, like, but like story rap from like the
80s.
yeah, like that shit is like it drives me nuts. Like, what that really popular song? I think it's Bismarck.
Bismarcky, just a friend.
Yeah, I hate that song.
Oh, what?
It's so annoying that it's just like, have you ever been outside and you're doing a thing, and then you do the thing and you didn't like it? It's like, shut up!
See, I like that stuff.
I don't like it. I tend to find it, I'm more into like, I mean, I'd rather have lyrics that don't make any sense than something that's trying to tell a story. It's just something I don't really like. Like, I don't like musicals because it seems like one takes away from the other. Like if you're forcing the story and narrative and trying to communicate something exactly like how you want them to hear it, then you're taking away from like the rhythmic, you know, like just making something that sounds good. You know what I mean? Like there's, I was trying to look up the lyrics real quick, but like when they're like, oh, there's a comet coming by. Oh, should we put our thing? You know, like they're literally
Okay.
having dialogue and in the lyrics. That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
That's something really
I think there's an elegance in making them both work, but I think that's very hard to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
But I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
for
It's
sure.
just in my
yeah.
opinion. don't really
I
like
understand it. I'm just like the complete opposite of you.
that. Yeah.
So I also don't understand. No. No, it's.
Whoa.
I couldn't ever. I would much rather have somebody just telling me a story than lyrics that don't make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. It makes it harder to rhyme things, and when you are rhyming things, it feels forced and like. It just doesn't
I don't
feel natural.
even really care about rhymes.
See,
I don't think
that's the
things
problem.
really have to have rhymes.
Because it sounds good.
Yeah.
Right.
That's like
That's what I like.
I don't think things have to rhyme. So
yeah, but it's like things should sound good if it's a music.
Yeah.
That's like the point.
The
things
purpose
don't
of
have to rhyme to sound good, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
but a lot of the time, if they don't sound good.
so I think what the point that Cam's trying to get at is like what is important to him is the sound, and like that's why
Yes.
he's like, boy, what I sure would like is to listen to something that is not necessarily long, but that someone has worked really hard to make a nice, pleasant, cohesive sound out of.
I like when the noise is appeasing to me.
You said, you go.
Okay, so I think my least favorite song was Liquid Eternity. It got, or I think it was Liquid Eternity. There's too many songs.
Liquid Eternity.
River of Time was really good, I think. That's
Seems
the
like
one
everyone
that
liked that.
Yeah, that was just like a good, because that felt like a single off the album.
Yeah.
It was more of a song than trying to tell a story. And it was only like 4 minutes long.
Mhm.
And it wasn't a 10-minute ballad, which I'm not in the really long songs either. It's just not my deal. I did read the Wikipedia before finishing the album because I felt like I wanted to know exactly what was going on instead of trying to get it from the lyrics. Because I know we talked about this back on the nerd episode, but like when I'm listening to something, I like to be doing something else at the same time. So like I was driving when I was listening, when I was finishing the album, I was drawing that stupid picture when I was listening to it. So sometimes I wasn't paying attention to the lyrics. So I wanted to know what was happening so that I could, go back and forth and still understand what was happening.
Yeah, I think it would take like a few times listening to it all the way through to really understand what's going on.
Totally.
So that's.
Did anyone not look it up? And still
I did not look it up, and I had no idea what was
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I even listened to it twice.
You listened to this twice?
Yeah.
Big Brain George here, kind of got it. I listened to it one time and I got the gist of it, but that was also mainly because Seb, you like gave a little, like a brief synopsis before we went in.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, I see where the robots hate life now. Okay, all right, yeah, I get it. And then, that was
I think the story is good. I like the idea for the story. I like that it seems so disconnected from everything, and then it brings it directly to Earth, and everybody knows like the dinosaurs dying and stuff like that. So
What?
spoilers, yeah, the dinosaurs.
Dude, I haven't gotten that far yet.
And what? National history.
Yeah.
It's really sad, actually. Jesus doesn't get to him in time.
Oh.
There's
There's a
Rebel also died.
Big spoiler about him too. Dude. We don't want to mention it on the show.
Yeah.
So,
When he comes back, though, it's fine.
I have a real good feeling about that Judas guy, though.
Yeah, we didn't get there.
I think he's my favorite disciple.
Alright, let's round about. You got Judas. You got the other ones.
We got
Caesar,
Logan Paul.
Brutus, Logan Paul. Wait, what?
Yeah.
He's
You know,
disciple?
I was thinking I'm not all the way through the Bible yet, but Lucifer is my favorite angel so far.
Yeah,
he
he's gonna do
seems
great things.
seems like a good guy.
Yeah.
He seems like God seems like he really likes him, and I think that they're gonna have a pretty good friendship.
Next week we're going to be talking about the Bible.
Somehow it'd be longer.
No,
than
he
this.
was so good that they even made a comic book series.
Oh yeah. Quick plug for Lucifer.
Lucifer
my
Cam, did you have more that you wanted to bring up on this album?
It's just not really my thing. I don't love metal music, but I expected it to be more metal, but just because you described it as like a metal album.
Yeah, like when I was first getting into metal, actually, when I like my first, the first things that I listened to were Nightwish and Within Temptation. I was like, it's not metal, it's symphonic rock, which is actually another label for the type of metal I was listening to. But I was really not wanting to label it as metal.
I thought it was good.
because-
I like that more like hardcore, like
Yeah.
when you Google metal, like that.
Yeah, it's like.
It's like get into a pit and
I
mosh.
tend to Google my genre.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
what
the
is
first
this?
one.
What is this rock and roll
yeah,
music
I'm
like?
really-
Why don't you-
Black people invented it.
Back to Ayreon it is.
Yeah, I'm really not into any metal that has like any amount of screaming unless it's for like punctuation or like is just like kind of scattered.
Yeah,
So-
and that kind of brings me to Matt's point too. Is it did seem like the main singer doesn't have a lot of emotion in his.
There
It is
isn't really a
singing.
main singer.
Well,
Whoever's singing.
who's on the first song? That
Man,
I don't know.
there's like 5
guy.
people
I
on the
think I agree
first
with
song.
Matt that this doesn't feel like there's a lot of energy in the singing. It seems like, I don't know, maybe if they are recording a lot of this stuff several times, it would be straining on you to do so.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, they might have been coming off of big tours because this is a collaboration where a lot of the vocalists come from larger bands, but also it's a collaboration where they come from a lot of different places, and I don't know if that's just the way he directed it because
Yeah,
it was
The
his
robots are supposed to be sad. You have to
Yeah.
have no energy.
thing. Yeah,
I thought
But-
it was good. I
yeah.
liked it, but I wouldn't listen to it again. I don't. Do you go back and you listen to one of these songs like in the middle, ever?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like which one?
I'll listen to a lot of the time River Time, which everybody likes.
Yeah.
I like We Are Forever / Age of Shadows. I like Sixth Extinction, I think, and A Natural Selection are my top 4.
Yeah. It just seems like it's hard to, especially because some of them are like really long and whatever. Like, just to like one certain song, I can see liking the whole album.
Yeah.
Because the story is interesting. Oh, that's one thing I really wanted to bring up, and I'm glad I remembered it. 'Cause I gotta start writing notes for these things.
Yeah.
But like, it did not need to be an hour and 40 minutes. That is way too long. The story is not that complicated. There's not big instrumental breaks or anything.
There are, but they don't need to be
so big that they absolutely need to be there. It seems.
Yeah, it's not like the-
Nick brought up.
It's not like a
offline.
30-minute Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. Have you
It's-
guys ever listened to King Crimson?
Yes.
Too long.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I don't even know this.
King,
We have
King
it if you
Crimson
ever
is
want
a progressive rock band.
Nobody,
from the
I've
60s and
never heard
70s.
anybody say the full word.
Yeah.
Instead of just calling it
Like,
prog rock.
Yeah, a prog rock band. But they've got a lot of breaks like that, like they have in this album, and he takes a lot of influence from them.
So you're saying if I didn't like that, I wouldn't like that? And not
Yeah, you wouldn't like King Crimson.
Don't
you
worry,
wouldn't,
it wasn't
you
about
wouldn't
to
like
listen.
Jethro Tull, and
Okay.
you wouldn't like Emerson, Lake and
All right,
Palmer.
I will.
Or
Google
yes. There,
Lot
like
of
a lot,
people
lot of.
Jethro Tull, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good prog rock out there, and I could definitely feel. the
Like
influence
I was
of it.
saying, Nick
Yeah.
said off mic, to have something that long seems like it's disrespecting people's time. Like that they would. What did you say? What was your?
I
have
said.
some respect for people's time.
Yeah, yeah. I said something like I said something along the lines of.
Make it shorter.
No,
please.
not that exactly, but I actually wasn't even saying this about the album. I was saying this about video games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said sometimes when I'm playing a game, I'm enjoying it, but I don't feel like they're putting their A game into every level because of the people who are like, "Wow, this game's 60 hours."
Make it longer.
Well, this game's 60 hours. Why isn't it 100 hours? And I'm just like, it's okay to have some fucking respect for people's time.
Like one
Like,
thing I think of is Assassin's Creed 1, which obviously, they were figuring stuff out, but they literally waste your time in that game. They hate you, and they want you to just keep playing the game. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you're playing the game.
And they didn't even need to keep you playing to sell you loot boxes.
yeah.
Yeah, I know, this is before that.
Yeah.
I think they were just making you keep playing so you wouldn't write a review of it online.
It's like, well, I haven't finished the game. I shouldn't,
Yeah, but I just thought it was too long. I don't think it needed to be that long. Like, if the story was really complicated, if there were a lot of twists and turns.
Yeah, there's a couple songs I would cut out, actually.
Yeah, or just make them a little bit shorter. You know what I mean? Like,
As somebody who likes it, I'm like, no, I like that.
An
Like,
hour and 40 minutes? Like, even if this was a movie, it wouldn't be that long. Or, like, a book, it would be, like, 13 pages? Like, it would be so short. But,
How many pages does the manual have?
yeah, how many pages in the CD?
Yeah, what's the
I
little
do
booklet?
not own a physical copy, otherwise I would have brought it with me.
What's the album art? Is the album art cool?
I
It's cool.
really like the album
Yeah,
art, actually.
I think there's supposed to be stuff on the inside book, but I haven't seen it.
That's what was
Now,
really getting
all right,
me.
if a picture's worth 1,000 words, is the album art longer than the song? Or longer than the
Yes,
album?
I think so, because explaining the album art would be very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
It's very abstract, and I think the same artist has... Well, I don't think they did it for the Source, because the Source's album art is very different, but the same artist did a lot of Ayreon's covers.
They definitely fit the theme of prog rock covers,
Oh,
which
yeah.
are often like
Yeah.
that's actually one of the things that one of the pieces of trivia about Star Wars that I like. I'm not a big Star Wars fan, but like all of the crazy alien worlds in Star Wars are just George Lucas remembering a prog rock album cover and being like, that's gonna be the planet where this scene takes place.
Who will not sue me? If
Yeah. All right, George, what did you think of this album?
I thought it was alright. I definitely had problems with it. The main thing, a lot of my notes actually synced up very well with Matt Gentry, friend of the show. Definitely a lot of my notes synced up with his. Like, I really felt the same with it, feeling like it was locked in time. Like, it felt very in its time. It felt very 2008 to me, and like the synth.
It wants to
Good
take
thing
you
that's
back
when it came
on
out,
the
right?
river of time.
2007.
Yeah.
One day ago.
And then like the synth, I felt like they used it too much, even though I get that they were trying to get like a futuristic sound and stuff like that, but it was too much for my taste. Even though I listened to like EDM music and stuff like that, but it was just like too much and it didn't mix well. And there were a few songs. I think it might have actually just been the first song. Yeah, first song I really didn't like, and it was a mix of all the different sounds that didn't really mesh well together to me. And then sometimes it felt like they were even in like different keys. So it was like, why are they just doing this just to do this? It just felt
They want to waste your time.
yeah, that's what it felt like. And then some of the songs where I liked like the first part of them, or I liked the middle part, or I liked the ends because it was over. No, I'm kidding. Or like I would like a part and then it would go on too long. I'm like, this is kind of boring now.
That's how I felt about some of these songs.
Yeah, it would either go on too long, or it was like they would go and try to change something up, and I was just like, well, now it sounds bad. Now it doesn't sound good anymore.
I like the middle and the end of the song, but the beginning.
Yeah, so every time I listen to it, you just skip the last 5 minutes of the song.
There's a couple songs I would do that for, but I did, as everyone sounds like they did, I did really like River of Time. I actually, my notes for it says, flute working a lot better, complemented by some string instruments that it works well with, and I was making complaints in my notes before about the flute. I was like, it's not working at all. Where are they putting it in this?
Flute out of here.
It just sounds weird. Like, it feels like they're trying to get like almost like a Quest like ye old tale thing going, but then it was like all these futuristic sounds, and that like
there is an earlier flute song that I really didn't like because it's very medievally. Like it's like medieval town, like Ren Fair music, you know, like
that was the vibe I was getting off a couple of these.
And
I wasn't sure what that was
It's like
about.
folk metal.
Yeah,
I think it's about blending like the old and the new. Like they have the synth, and
but they're like
That's
Stone
what-
Age old, not medieval old.
yeah, but in between those, you got some medieval.
That's the Ayreon sound, really. Is
Oh, yeah.
Because like the first album starts
Was their big
in
break at
medieval times.
at a medieval fair?
The first album in this timeline, because multiple of Ayreon albums are
Many
like
Ayreon albums.
Now listen.
so they have a story that takes place in the same continuity as this album, and the first one takes place in medieval times and is connected to by this album when it's
And the titular character Ayreon is in that album, but then he dies.
yeah,
So, spoilers.
But then, how does he make this album?
Oh well.
time travel.
Yeah.
there was a few things that I definitely did like though, and most of my notes actually for the songs that I didn't like, I was just making notes of like making jokes about them.
Yeah.
That's what
Liquid Eternity, a lot of the vocals remind me of Spooky Mormon Hell Dream from the Book of Mormon.
Whoa.
Which I don't know if that's like an outlandish thing to.
No,
Probably
I
think
can
so.
see that.
Yeah, it was a little bit kind of reminded me of that. I did like the riffs for the most part inside this album. Like whenever the guitar would come in, I'm like, oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
And then they'd put a flute over it. I'm like, why? Please stop.
Because Ian Anderson.
It doesn't mean it sounds good. That was my thing. I appreciated how a lot of them did things, and some of the songs I liked just because they reminded me of like hairband music or other like older prog rock, and I was like, oh, this is kind of sweet. But then they would go the wrong way with it. I don't know. It didn't work well a lot of the time for me, but almost every song had at least some parts that I liked. But then, like, something would happen.
Well, when
And
it goes on
I'd
for
go,
10 minutes, eventually they'll do something that you like.
yeah, at some point. It's like, what was it?
It's the equivalent of trying every password you can think of and then getting the right one at the end.
I think what I'm
I do
hearing
it all
is-
along.
what I'm hearing is like a lot of people didn't like all of the elements that I liked, which is all the like classic prog rock elements, which
Well-
I think are hereditary for me because my mom was really into those bands I named before, so I kind of grew up with them.
Well,
No, I like the prog rock stuff. But then it was
like
just
the flute and the synth and all that.
it was done weirdly to me. It was like it didn't sound good. Like
But-
a lot of it to me it felt like they were trying to emulate some of those things, but it didn't work as well as it did back in the day. Also I had dumb jokes about about the names of the songs. So Newborn Race ... by Ayreon.
What?
Don't worry, they'll like.
Yeah. Fifth Extinction didn't actually make a race
You
joke
don't
about
need
this one.
Yeah.
Judging from the beginning of it, the synth machines are not the Fifth Extinction because there was so much fucking synth in the beginning. I didn't like that.
Why weren't the synth machines extinct?
Yeah, or was it a synth or it was like a theremin or something? I like the guitar, but then the future noises came up and I was like, all right, now I don't like the song.
One of the guys' names is Floor Jansen.
That's a woman. Her name is Floor Johnson. She is from After Forever and currently sings with Nightwish.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I wish my name was Floor Jansen.
The Sixth Extinction, more extinction. What's this about, huh? Band that suspiciously sounds like Ayreon.
These are all.
Really-
Your whole set is about this. Your whole set is about mispronouncing the name of this band.
It up in life. They're all racist jokes. You be in there.
Honestly,
I
I
like
think the
that
only
song
time they
for-
pronounce the name of the band in the albums is in the first album. So
And how did they pronounce it on that one? Do you
it's
remember?
like Ayreon or
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah, that makes
No,
more
I-
sense to me. Like you would really pronounce the eon part to make it sound more futury.
I also, speaking of, I assume I assume that's how it was actually pronounced. I also assumed that in the Sixth Extinction that they did like a Robot Trails of Tears thing. I mean, I just wasn't sure. I didn't completely follow along.
They turned off their machines because they fucked up so bad. They're like, I guess we shouldn't be alive
So
anymore.
it was
Yeah.
like a Robot Trail of Tears.
Well, they didn't
go
No, I know,
anywhere.
I'm kidding.
It made
It
the
was
robots
more
walk.
like when you're playing a game and you make the save so bad you're like I have to start over.
Oh. Some of the songs though were just. I actually didn't mind Web of Lies, but the whole time I just was like, is this song about Tinder before Tinder? Because they're.
I don't know. Like
I think
that,
it's literally about catfishing.
Oh no,
I
I'm
think-
pretty sure it is, but.
out of any song in the album, I would remove that one because there's like a couple songs that they
What
like.
did that have to do with anything?
Yeah,
It was
they like
kinda out of- I
interjected
think
a
it's just
couple
like a
songs
technology
that were
thing.
like, I think it was a technology thing and like the mundanity
Yeah.
of life on Earth.
Yeah, connect
but,
the
like,
dots
this is-
and
Yeah.
Web of Lies.
Yeah,
Connect the
it was-
Dots actually. Funny thing about that, and I guess it's not really funny, but they actually use the vocalist's like actual names, like when it goes Dear PX, like the next singer.
That's Web
his
of
name
Lies.
is-
You said connect the dots at the start.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Web of Lies. The next singer that comes on, the male that responds to her,
Uh-huh.
his initials are PX. It's like he's got a really weird name, so I can't pronounce it. But
Professor Xavier.
sure.
Wow.
That's fair enough.
So
And then
it's
he
like a
goes,
rapper
The
calling out
X-Men are
someone
in
else.
on this
It's like-
too?
yeah.
It's like a Tribe Called Quest is like, oh, yeah, Fife, you're on point, and then Fife Dog comes in.
Yeah.
Is it like that?
He
I mean,
goes,
a Tribe Called Quest is OP.
Yeah. That's true. Please nerf.
They need a nerf.
Well, I guess they got nerf.
but he
Yeah.
responds
Oh,
to her.
Oh, you can't say that.
Real.
Can you edit that out? I don't want.
you regret it already?
Yes.
All right.
Lose some of my
But,
street cred.
Yeah, so he responds to her, do you see Moon? And that's actually her actual name. That's Simone Simmons from Epica. Which I'm like, why do you need to refer to them by their actual names if you're actually creating characters for each of these vocalists?
It's a self
Which is- Yeah, he self-inserted some other people he knew from the metal community.
He self-inserted other people.
No, they has to be.
He has to be
But yeah, like
self-inserted.
that one and Connect the Dots, they're like,
Bad.
I don't hate them. But I feel like they could go on a different album.
Yeah, I was like okay with it, but you're right. It definitely didn't fit.
Yeah.
I guess it sort of fit with like the technology aspect, but like
Yeah.
otherwise it didn't really fit. A couple of like Unnatural Selection. Again, there was another song. A lot of songs that was just I felt meh about them.
Yeah.
Unnatural Selection though was to me. It kind of felt like an unfun Mr. Roboto by Styx. I was like, oh, I see what they're kind of doing here, except it's not as good. All right, cool.
Teach their own.
Yeah, that was essentially most of my feelings about the album. It was like I see what they're doing,
Mhm.
I just don't like it. It's like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's been done better in the past.
Yeah.
But yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Well, Alex, you got your notes. Your notes on like lined paper, like you're giving a fucking third grade book report.
Yeah.
Mine
Half of
is
this
out.
is a list
Mine
of
is
Switch
out.
games I want to buy soon. But okay.
Why is that so on brand? Please not be on brand for 1 second.
This album was okay. I think I liked it more than both of you, but
Yeah.
not that much more.
So we've got a gradient.
Yeah. I did like some of the guitar riffs. I think there were a couple that had me tapping my feet.
I thought a vast majority of the riffs were actually good,
Yeah.
but then it would like stop and
Yeah.
you'd be like, ooh, more flute. Here we go.
I can see where these guys were coming from with the overuse of synth, but I can't get enough of synth.
Yeah,
I really like
I'm on board with you there.
I
As I said like multiple times.
I like it, even though I do think it might have been a little cheesy in some places here. But I enjoy synth too much to give a shit.
Yeah.
What else? I liked Age of Shadows actually quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's one point where you and I agree. That's the first song. It's got two names, like even
Yeah.
on the album.
Age of Shadows / We Are Forever.
Is
because
the
it's
middle
what you
part
want.
We Are Forever? Because there's
Yeah.
there's the middle part where they just changed what the song is completely.
Yeah.
And that part I'm like, oh, I don't give a shit. But
Yeah, I feel like they do a really good job leading you into this album with like the
It
heavy
establishes the
machinery
premise
noises
really
of
well.
like like I think they even say like super on the nose. They're like the sun blockers are in
Exactly,
place.
that's-
Yeah.
I also have written down that in Beneath the Waves, they sample, it's probably a stock sound, but they sample the crowbar impact noise from Half-Life 1.
Yeah, that's insane. That is crazy.
Can I interject?
Yeah.
Some other things they sample are Ayreon's own first album, which
Mhm.
is the ticking sound at the beginning of River of Time is from I think the end of the first album.
You got that flute.
I
The titular area.
am totally with both of these guys in that I didn't really get the point of the medieval, like, old-timey music there. I guess I do understand since they're, like, calling back to the past, and it makes sense that it's in their other music. I think that's
Yeah.
the piece
Yeah.
of this I was missing. I'm
Yeah.
like, there's dinosaurs here, but they're playing medieval music. I'm like,
they had flutes back then.
but yeah, so that part I was really iffy on.
Yeah.
If they had done, like, I don't even necessarily dislike that kind of stuff, but if it was its own thing, I probably would enjoy it more.
Mhm.
Like, if, like, a whole album sampled that kind of stuff, I could be into it, but yeah, I don't know.
I
What
could
else?
probably suggest some folk metal bands then.
That's another thing. I kind of, now, to totally go against what Cam said, I kind of do like speaky lyrics sometimes. But in this case, I think they did it all right. I'm not very critical about the music I listen to anyway. But I do tend to kind of like folksy, speaky lyric type stuff. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm not into it. In some of these songs, I was definitely not into it.
Mhm.
But I'm not against that.
Yeah.
What else do I have written down? I have written down 2085. I don't remember why.
That's the
2085. That's like the.
It was
the
probably
year-
just because of the cadence of the way.
Yeah,
they wrote it.
that's I think that's part of Sixth Extinction, and that's pretty much the end of the world.
Yeah.
Whereas in 2084 is when they send the message back, and that gets mentioned a lot in the first album.
That's pretty much it. It was okay. I don't normally listen to metal, and I do not think I would really seek out much more of it. But it was fine. It was a good experience.
Yeah, this is different. Like a lot of metal is different, but
Yeah.
I think this is different than most metal.
I honestly think.
I thought that
I mean, like,
Oh,
I think
you mean a MIDI sample of
Yeah.
something that someone wrote 30 years ago?
well, even New Doom has a metal soundtrack, but like I would never listen to any of that outside of the game. I think it
Yeah.
fits.
really sets the
I think it fits the
I-
tone of the game very well, but I would never be like, I'm going to go listen to that
If
incoherent
I didn't
guitar
have to
blaring.
kill a bunch of demons, I would listen.
I listened to it while I was out running, and I was sweating so much more at the end.
Kill.
Right, but yeah, that's what I mean. It's
killed
good
the
at.
dog.
So, Alex,
Yeah.
I think I have like a good handle on what these guys normally listen to, just because of what Cam had us listen to before, and some of the stuff they post in the Discord group. But what kind of music do you normally listen to?
I do not normally listen to very much music.
Oh,
You ever played
okay.
Monkey Ball?
I like some like rap hip hop stuff. I mean, I listen to that on occasion. Like at work or something, I listen to Kendrick or Wu-Tang or something like that. But I don't know. see, I don't like seek out much music.
Mhm.
It's just kind of I fall back on the stuff that I normally listen to, whatever, like
Do you ever listen
Yeah.
to
like
video
Beatles or
game
Jimi
stuff?
Hendrix or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, it's like I'll fall back on a classic like that, but I don't like go explore more like stuff like that. I
You
don't know.
strike me as a Clapton man.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice.
So, I really should have taken notes on this album, but I think a lot of my thoughts are still there. I've been listening to it all week. I finished. I listened to the first couple of tracks, and then I got distracted by God knows what. And then on Monday of this week, I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to that album, and I have some stuff to get done. And I actually got a ton of shit done listening to this album. Like it was better being productive music than for some reason a lot of other stuff that I try to put on and
You're
listen
hyped
to.
up.
I mean,
You want to finish your chores as quickly as possible. So you can turn it up. No, I'm kidding.
well, if that's the case, I did a pretty shitty job because I finished the album. But no, I got some like job applications filled out. I set up the RSS feed for this podcast. It is now on iTunes. If you're listening to us through iTunes, we now have
If you're
yeah. So
listening to us from the future.
if you're listening to us from the future on iTunes, I did that listening to this album.
E-Tunes?
iTunes.
Electronic
What else is on the
tunes?
YouTube?
I put our first episode up on YouTube as well, which took forever to render, and I can only imagine what it's going to be like when I get to some of the longer episodes.
Some schmuck
Yeah.
also has Please Don't Listen.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
As a PCast?
Oh,
Yeah, we have a cooler
goddamn.
one though.
We do have a better logo.
This is
If we get
his
more
garage cast by himself.
If we get more listeners than them, we can eat them.
Well, yeah.
We'll have them on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have them
We're
on the
not
show.
mean.
Hey, please don't listen, cast. If you want to come on here to the show with the
If you want
worst
to bring
title,
your Minecraft YouTuber ass on here.
the call out post. All right, so I really was getting into the energy of this album in the first track. Like right off the bat, I'm like, all right, I'm pumped. I'm gonna get into it. And then they wind it back a little bit. I'm like, all right, I'm pumped down.
Yeah, they're setting the pace.
Yeah, I was sad because like right at the beginning they are like, okay, they've got the churning machines, the sounds of gears of like opening and closing hatches of this machinery just blotting out the sun and like fueling them and living forever, these weird fish people. And then somebody, a very melodramatic fish person for someone who's not supposed to have emotions, is screaming, "The age of shadows has begun!" And I'm like, all right, I get where this is going to be. Like, someone's going to be like melodramatic and hamming it up, and they're going to say everything really on the nose and out loud. And I can get behind that. I'm there for it. An album that I really like that I'm going to plug again at the end is the Proto Men's
I was
first
gonna
album,
bring
Act
that up.
Act 1.
That's something that's really similar to this, and I like it, and it's definitely a story album, but
7 tracks long.
yeah, 7 tracks long. I still don't like it that much, but it is something that I go back to, and I would listen to the whole thing through, maybe even sometimes pick songs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I get where you come from.
That's what it was reminding me of, and I was prepping myself for something like that, but I didn't quite get it as much. It just felt for me like an experience that could use some editing. Like I definitely feel like there is maybe 2 entire good albums in here, and I feel like if you this is disrespectful to them because I know how much fucking work went into this with 17 vocalists
And even more instrumentalists.
and it's an hour and 45 minutes of music, and you know they recorded more than that because nobody only records what they need.
What do you mean? We do that every week.
Got it all out.
The only time we even came close to that was our second episode. It's the only one I didn't have to like cut 30 minutes of bullshit out of. But I really I would say on the whole I had an amazingly positive experience with this album because it's not the kind of thing I normally would seek out, even though I have liked things that are on this same side in the past. Some things that I picked up on before I read into the there were a couple things that I was trying to just determine what the story was just by listening to it the first time, and then I went through and looked at stuff afterwards. And one of the things that really confused me is I'm like, okay, so the first part of our story definitely takes place on this alien planet, and then they have the connect the dots right in the middle of all that stuff that's still happening on the first planet. And I'm like, so I guess this fish planet is concurrent with modern day Earth.
Yeah,
like I
that
guess
was
those
really
things are
cool.
happening at the same time. And is this trying to show us like okay, so they just spent 3 songs talking about how the fish people of Planet Y, I should call them by their actual name, the Forevers. The Forever.
That's the dumbest thing.
Okay,
They were the
Yeah.
Forevers before they knew they were gonna live forever.
I think they're only the Forevers after they know they're gonna
They
live
changed
forever.
the
Yeah.
name
Before
of
that,
the
they were
race.
The Aryan.
the finite.
Oh, people die someday. Yeah, Aryan. They were the Aryan race.
All right, John Tron.
Stop.
Oh, man.
Oh no.
Oh, man.
Holy shit! That's our first. I think Cam leaving this window open has fucked with the audio of this podcast, but it's too late to fix that.
Yeah.
But that's the only time we've gotten an audio spike so far is after Cam said the Aryan race. But I
dancing around it this whole time.
okay. So
We've been saying it
yeah,
this
we've
whole
been on the
time.
nose.
for a story that already has time travel, I don't think you need to jump to back and forth with different points in time to get your point across. Like
But
the
you
point.
gotta connect the dots, Nick.
The song is literally called "Connect the Dots," and I did when I first listened to this, but I sort of got it later on when they did it for the second time when they showed like Web of Lies.
Yeah.
It's that they're trying to show you that these people who are like, oh, these machines consumed us, and our over reliance on technology has eventually led us to a point where there's no life anymore. There's no danger. There's no thrill. There's no emotion. We are just living to live, and there's nothing natural about us anymore. And it's like, okay, that's a fine moral. I can get that. And they're like, oh, see the parallels. Humans are getting into the same place. But then it gets to the point where like, oh, we created humans, and I'm like, okay. And then it's like,
What do you mean by this?
yeah,
No,
yeah.
next
So
song.
yeah, and then the next song. Oh, by the way, I'm glossing over that saying, oh, they created humans. They created humans in my favorite song on the album, Ride the Comet, which is like, I love the drum
I love
intro
that
on
one.
Ride the Comet. It makes it's
I should have put that in my top
so good. Like it just pumps you up, and it's one of the only songs on the album that I feel, and this is not a knock on the album because I did enjoy it mostly as a positive experience, but like Ride the Comet is one of the only songs on the album that has a proper build up and payoff where it pumps you up with the drums at the beginning, and then it's like kind of soft, like, oh, we're going to ride the comet. The comet's going over there. With the comets, the
That's
comets
exactly
coming
how
from
the song
the
goes.
comets
It's
coming from
whispering
our
sweet
planet to
nothings
Earth.
in your ear.
And then like they're whispering sweet nothings into your ear, and then you got like the choir of female metal singers in the background that
I
just
really
go
think it's
ride
just
the
Simone Simmons
comet.
and Floyd
Really?
Johnson.
Oh, did
Yeah.
they just like repeat? It sounds like
I
a
think it's
There's
only
17
them.
singers. There's all
Yeah.
men except for two.
yeah. All right, I was gonna say it seems like they had a bunch of female singers harmonizing on that part, but
Yeah.
So that comet goes to Earth, wipes out the dinosaurs, and I love that they're shit talking the dinosaurs in the first album.
Yeah,
on
they're
These
like,
guys
they're
The first-
just
yeah,
lizards.
the first song on the second disc is the Fifth Extinction, talking about the dinosaurs getting wiped out, and they're like the Forevers are talking about like, oh, it seems just like a bunch of lizards, very low intelligence, and I'm like, wow, just dunking on them, like you're not
Yeah,
even.
well, then there's
Yeah,
another character who's
no
like,
harm.
what the fuck are you talking about? How are we any better than them? And they end up doing it anyway.
Like he raises an
Yeah,
important
they keep saying
ideological point, and then they're like, "Well, we don't have any time. The comet's already on its way there." So
We already did it, buddy. They
Yeah.
keep saying we have no choice, which I get that they're in the comet, and then like so they upload their like consciousness into the comet, and then they can still
okay,
talk
so
to
they
each
No,
other.
they upload their comet.
consciousness.
No, they upload their science. No, anyway,
they
that's,
put the
that's a
seed
later
of their
verse.
DNA, so it's more like
Yeah.
a comet.
So they call them extremophiles.
Did you say comet?
Yeah.
God damn it.
No, they're
I'm gonna
they're
put myself on
extremophiles,
notice for that one.
So they're like little tiny animals. Do you know what an extremophile is in real life?
No,
Okay, it's a little.
it's like a sex thing.
I
Yeah.
guess it could be.
You only can get off while doing extreme sports.
Yeah, if you're like
There's these
jumping over
little
the
itty
shark.
bitty teeny tiny animals that can survive in almost like any environment,
That's
Uh,
what
yeah,
they're
they're
so
basically
extreme.
such
Like-
as space.
And
They're
they,
like-
jerk off or whatever.
That's actually one of a theory.
That's
of
actually
how
the
life
only
on
thing
Earth
they
began.
do is jerk off.
Oh man.
Okay, so
Okay, I get it.
anyway,
I thought it was like data.
they
Yeah,
go.
I think they check on them and then they kind of like look through their minds. It's a little bit unclear.
Yeah, that was something I was like, do they just have a really crazy telescope to look at all this stuff, or is
Yeah,
it just?
I mean they definitely influence humanity's course.
So that's
like,
what I was about to get into.
yeah.
I noticed that so far a lot of my complaints and praise for this album has been about the narrative, and that's something that stuck with me. So I'm just gonna keep going with it. But like this album, like okay, so they're like, well, they create humanity. It's like okay, so is the point that like humanity follows the same path that this race does, even though they created us so that they wouldn't follow this? But like one of the songs, I think it's Unnatural Selection, goes into great detail of like, oh. We went through all the effort to create this race, but now they're dying off. Like they're dying off because it's too cold, and they're dying off because they're getting eaten by predators, and they're dying off because of all these really basic things that we circumvented thousands of years ago. We should influence just a little bit to help them stay alive. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, but
Are
then
you
there's the
fucking
same guy.
kidding me?
The same guy the whole time is like, that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, these are like our little babies.
Yeah, they didn't listen to Jor-El and
Yeah.
they ruined everything. Like I feel like I'm missing a big point of this. Like, and I know they because like I feel like the moral would be I mean it doesn't have to be like a cartoon or a children's storybook or something where the moral is like, well, enjoy the time while you have it, or stop and smell the roses once in a while, or put your phone down, or whatever. But like,
Let's put your phone
George.
but like, so, or it's the other kind of the conservationist moral where it's like, oh, the natural world has its way of doing things. If you interfere, it's going to make it worse, which is like
Get sick and die.
yeah. It's like I don't know if I like that as a moral either. Like I don't know if I entirely agree with the scientists who are like, yeah, we should give them iPods, but like I also feel like if the problem is that your sea monkeys are dying, maybe you should give them medicine. Like that's a different thing. And for the end to be like, well, we gave them technology and they use it to kill themselves by nuking everything.
I think it's partly about like the delicate balance of it. It's like okay, we kill it. The stakes are high because they killed the dinosaurs, even though they were just dumb wizards.
Yeah.
So we did all this shit. We're gonna die. Our continuing race is on here. It's very delicate. Do we just let them die? It's like, oh, I'll just influence a little bit, and then they blow, like they ruin it. And like that's it. Like,
the Futurama episode Godfellas is a very good take on this
that.
entire episode, and it's done in under 30 minutes.
There's
Oh,
funny robot jokes.
yeah, it does have funny robot jokes in it. I think somebody says I think John DiMaggio says the word ass in that one. It's good.
I love that part.
But for me to like complain about like, oh, this story, like I'm complaining about the story in very broad strokes. I'm skipping over large parts. I'm focusing on specific things that stood out to me because those are the things that hung on to me while I was listening to the music of the album, which for the most part I very much enjoyed. The only parts that were really getting to me was when it would be broken up and the mood would change midway through. I felt like I'm like getting all worked up and into a mood like, oh, this album wants to set this mood for me. But then either the story or the order of the songs would kind of grind the pace or the mood to a halt, and I wouldn't be able to enjoy it in the same way that I was. Like, that's might be why I enjoyed Ride the Comet so much, is because I felt like they'd been building up to like a really big, like melodramatic, crazy screaming song, and they hadn't done that for a while at this point, and they just kind of peter out in a bunch of the songs. But I didn't really think of the flute as so much of a problem. It was weird, but I just like accepted it like, oh, that's the sound that they're going for. They're going for a weird mix of future and past. I think that I think one of the coolest things that this album does is have distinct discs. For first disc is Planet Y, second disc is Planet Earth, and they both have different sounds, and I liked that a lot. I thought that was a really interesting, which is why I was even more mad that there are two Planet Earth songs on the Planet Y section, and that they don't fit at all. And all right, least favorite song was probably also Liquid Eternity. I did not get into it.
Just something about it.
Yeah,
like the lyrics.
It
goes
doesn't
on too long, and I don't like the lyrics. And it was catchy in a way that it got stuck in my head, but I didn't want it stuck in my head.
Yeah.
It's like now all I can think of for
Liquid
3 hours is
Eternity.
literally that. And I was like, I have to listen to other songs. This is not my head.
Favorite song, I keep talking about it, Ride the Comet. I did like Rivers of Time. I did like Age of Shadows. Age of Shadows was the one that got stuck in my head. And I thought it was on the whole, I thought it was a good experience, and I was thinking about it a lot this week. That's something that I want to say, is that one of the things that I enjoy about this show is that it gets me thinking about something every week. I'm thinking about, oh, well, this is what someone's introducing something to me, and it's getting me thinking about something that I haven't thought about before. Like I hadn't thought about, like, to do a 2-disc rock opera that takes place on 2 different planets, like they have to do a lot of setup in the first one and then sort of bring it back to a relatable place in the second one. And oh my god, I've sort of seen this sci-fi plot before of like, oh, these people created humans but then they disappeared for some reason. If you want to see a really shitty version of that plot, look up the background info for Prometheus, the movie Prometheus, which is a terrible version of this story. Yeah, I have problems with the movie Prometheus, but if you look at like what Ridley Scott thinks of it, it's so much worse. He's like, oh yes, the first Promethean was Jesus, and I'm like, oh god, shut up, I don't want to hear this. Like, aliens are a metaphor for religion. I'm like, shut up, your thing is not that good and you're ruining every good part it has. So it's not like it's this, I've never seen this kind of sci-fi trope done before, but it is done pretty well here. For a trope that's used often. I didn't really like the time travel, if only because it seems like it's the it's a great callback if you would listen to their first album, which I hadn't. This was
the first full album I listened to, so then I had to go back and be like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, the time travel there was like, it was just like to send like messages back, which is a different kind of time travel, and they subscribe. I think they subscribe to the time travel theory of history set in stone, and time travel will cause the events that you're happening now to happen. It's not the Dragon Ball time travel where it creates a separate timeline, or the Chrono Trigger timeline where the times are like places. So if you go to them, then you do something there, it affects all the other ones. So there's a lot of different ways to do time travel. The way they did it in this one was the way that impacted the story the least.
Next
which
episode
is
we're doing
not
time travel.
I could talk about this forever. I think Minute Physics has a video that explains everything that I was saying except better and less long-winded. Cam's yawning, so I'm going to cut my impressions off.
You were done-ish, right?
Yeah, I was done-ish. Yeah. I was winding down.
Okay.
That's a big ish.
So to wrap up, I guess.
Tell us why you picked this album, because you went into it a little bit last week. Something that we unintentionally did was the theme of this loop is hard sells, like something that you enjoy that is like, it's kind of like hard to convince somebody to get into it on their own.
Yeah. Like metal music, even the stuff that isn't screamy, like I don't like death metal. I don't like a lot of power metal either. Like I just don't like anything with growling or anything in it. But like metal for anybody who doesn't listen to it is like a hard sell. Like no matter if you're talking about folk metal or symphonic metal, because when you think about metal, you think like growling and screaming. So I knew that a lot of you guys wouldn't like normally listen to this kind of thing. So I was like, this is one of my favorite things, and why don't I, get you guys to listen to it. Though I did know that a lot of you guys wouldn't be a big fan.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be a circle jerk every week, and it shouldn't be. Like, that's the whole point is to be like...
I'm just a person who wants to give other people pleasant experiences, even though I knew it wouldn't be an entirely pleasant experience. Because that, I think I enjoyed Nerd's album a little bit more than you enjoyed this album.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but, so... Yeah, it's been one of my, like, I just like rock operas in general. Like, my first rock opera was actually American Idiot by Green Day. You're, like, making a face like...
I didn't know.
What?
There was no face.
No.
He just always looks like that.
Yeah,
okay.
This is how
I think maybe you were just tired because you were, like, staring into space, and I thought that meant, like...
Well, you know what that means. That means, opera? Like, we'll try and...
But, yeah, so, like, this one was one of my favorites, so... I just wanted other people to listen to it, so that's pretty much it.
I mean, I'm definitely going to go back and listen to the one where Merlin gets another guy executed for being a weirdo.
Yeah, that one was...
Wait, Merlin thinks someone else is too weird?
So the first album, the titular Ayreon, is a blind bard in medieval England, and he gets sent the message
Yeah,
that they're sending in this album.
You want to talk about what we're doing next week?
Yes, please give us that intro so that we can say
this.
next week we did not enjoy this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I was talking about this with Nick. I really couldn't decide on what I wanted to do, but I think it'd be fun to do themed weeks, and since we were already accidentally doing one, we should just keep continuing on and doing that. So, we're going to do the Comedy Bang Bang TV show, which is on Netflix, so it's super easy to watch. I haven't specifically decided on episodes yet, but I'd like to do one for each band leader. So it went on for 4 seasons, and he switched the band. It's like a talk show. It's a scripted talk show that's like making fun of talk shows. It just ends up being a sketch show, basically. So it's Scott Aukerman from the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, which is like one of the most popular podcasts. And
Yeah, it's like number 2 behind WTF and
it's just
Nerdist
like a
or whatever.
improv interview show with like funny famous people on it. So like they took that and they wanted to adapt it into a scripted show. So they still have famous guests on, and it's pretending to be an interview show when really it's just complete nonsense. And he has a band leader on on every episode. So first it was Reggie Watts, who is now James Corden's band leader.
Yeah.
And he left Comedy Bang Bang to go do that, and he wrote the Comedy Bang Bang theme song. And then
it's great.
The next band leader is Kid Cudi. On this indie comedy show, they get Kid Cudi to tell stupid, dumb jokes.
And like some of the shit they get him to say is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I cannot believe you got this guy to have that coming out of his mouth.
That he's the musical guest. Then he goes on tour. So then their final band leader is Weird Al. And he is hilarious as an actor. He's super duper funny.
Anytime he appears on a scripted show, because he does that all the time. Like they'll just be like, "Hey, can we use Weird Al for this? Hey, Weird Al, would you like to do this?" And he's not on tour. He's like, "Yeah, sure." He's amazing. He's done a ton of voice acting. He's done a ton of like just guest appearances.
Younger.
Yeah, and he was good on that. He was good. He was Darkseid on Teen Titans Go, which is hysterical.
Yeah, so it's a really good show. And I chose it for the hard sells because one, it's an alt comedy TV show based on a podcast that was on IFC. So it's all of that is dumb. And you shouldn't watch something that's that. But also, I've shown it to friends before, and it is so polarizing. I've had people love it and watch it more than I do, and some people are just like, turn this shit off. Every joke is so dumb, and like all jokes are not jokes, and they think that's funny, and I don't get it. Or like it's a show that makes fun of you for watching it a lot. Like it's just it's written really.
They'll put a lot
really
of effort to set up a bit, and then just like be like, "Oh, you expected something."
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be watching the pilot, and then for now, I'm gonna say the first Kid Cudi episode 2, and let's just say the first Weird Al episode.
How long are they?
Like 20 minutes.
Okay.
Super watchable.
Yeah,
It's funny. It's
We've done more.
Good design. You get to see famous people. I'd say for extra credit, just like flip through and pick celebrity you like Zach Galifianakis is on, Michael Cera, Schoolboy Q, A$AP Rocky are both guests. Weird Al, Carly Rae Jepsen is on.
Oh, hell yeah.
The Lonely Island are on a couple episodes, and they're amazing.
Oh my god, those are some of the best episodes. Is the Andy Samberg Lonely Island episodes. Should we read real quick? Eric's sent us a thing on Facebook about the Deus Ex episode.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. That'll be a good
reading
closer.
this thing. I don't
Yeah,
know
we're,
when
um,
we
Fan
should read
response.
Yes. So also,
them. I have it pulled up already.
Yeah.
All right,
So-
let's do it.
Yeah, alright, so he says, I don't know if you guys knew this, I don't think it was mentioned in the episode, but JC, Paul, and by extension Adam in the prequels are all named after biblical characters who match them.
Right, yeah.
JC is the Messiah-like hero who saves the world. Paul is named after Jesus' cousin, who was the final preacher prior to Jesus himself and spoke of Jesus' impending coming. And Adam, being an early model cyborg, is named after the first man.
Yeah.
And then he posted a funny Snickers picture of JC.
Yeah, that's
No,
kind
that's
of
interesting.
a the series is definitely not subtle with the
No,
biblical
yeah.
allusions
No,
in
it's
any
got-
way at all.
Jay-
I think you mentioned that
Or
off
other
mic before.
mythological allusions
Yeah.
too. Icarus, Daedalus, and
Yeah.
I've been spoiled for Helios.
That's
Yeah.
something that sci-fi does a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of grown worthy, but it's so what we would do
uh,
in a society. Like
Yeah.
we will
Oh, yeah.
make a robot and
And
be like,
um,
its name is Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, what
I
makes you
think I might have mentioned it on the episode. I don't know if it was on mic or not, but a Deus Ex Machina is a god from the machine, and so it makes sense that they would use like Christ-like character names and that kind of stuff.
So
especially with regard to where the story goes.
Yeah.
So if you want to send us some fan mail, we've had an email account for a while, but I didn't think we plugging it because we didn't have any listeners until like 2 weeks ago. So
Oh yeah, if you're listening to this and we don't know who you are, let us know.
Yeah, say
yeah,
hi.
absolutely.
Seems impossible.
Yes. So I want to say, send us an email if you want to tell us, I think your pick for this week was shit, or if you want, or absolutely, if we got something wrong and you want to correct us, send us an email. If there's because we do that.
Please be an asshole.
Yeah,
about it.
be an asshole. If you want to tell us, please cancel this show. If you're the owner of Please Don't Listen, the other podcast, and you want to say, please stop, I have a lawsuit for you. Anything, if you want to communicate with the show, we will read it on the air. We got no problem with that. I just opened up the email account to make sure I got the address right. It is pleasedontcast@gmail.com. That is
And that's
please.
like a fishing thing.
Yeah. All right. That is one more time. pleasedontcast@gmail.com. I actually just got an email from a bot because I posted this to iTunes and it's trying to get me to join another podcast network. So
Yeah. So
Please send us pictures of corgis.
yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty
that'd be
sweet.
nice. So yeah, we're on iTunes now. We're on Nick's put the first episode on YouTube.
Yep. I'll
So-
try and get some more on
Yeah.
there, but it's going to take
It's
forever to
like
render
longer than
those.
this album.
Yeah.
And of course on SoundCloud.
Mhm.
So
And if there's any place that you
our
want,
RSS feed?
yeah, we have an RSS feed.
Yeah.
You can subscribe to that RSS feed through SoundCloud or through iTunes. Both of those are
or
just on there.
What's the app you have?
Oh, it's Podcast Addict, so that just searches through RSS feeds.
Okay,
so
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how I found it.
I thought you were gonna say, "Oh, it's the podcast app." On
Yeah,
my
I know.
phone.
Dumb shit. It's music by iPhone.
All right.
I heard that.
This is whoops. Seb's telling me one more thing.
We were talking before the podcast. If anybody liked, we're doing like suggestions of things.
Mhm.
If you like this
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
we'll do a suggestion.
Oh,
yeah.
No,
No.
but Srini asked us to say, if you liked this, here's something that's like it. So something that I brought up earlier. The Proto Men Act 1 is another story album. It actually could sort of be lumped into metal, but it's a lot more punk rock to me. It's grungy, it's dirty, it's like really gets in there. And it's also kind of Mega Man fan fiction, so I don't know if that turns you off.
It is Mega Man.
Yeah.
So we've got if you like this album, or actually, if you did not like the synth, do not listen to any other Ayreon albums because that is the sound. But otherwise, do listen to the rest of that. I mentioned a lot of classic prog rock bands like Jethro Tull, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and King Crimson. King Crimson, not Kring Kimson.
Right, that's a different album.
There's another band. I don't want to say they're obscure, but they're like not well known enough to have their own Wikipedia page. Their name is Toe Hider. They're Australian. They have a little bit of a prog rock.
Well, maybe their
influence.
Wikipedia page is in Australia.
Yeah, it's just upside down.
Yeah, it's upside down, so you can't read it.
Well, if you, it's in reverse, so you can only view it in the winter.
Right.
Okay. So Toe Hider, I actually found them through their vocalist was on another Ayreon album. But they've got some really cool stuff. Not quite as complex, not quite as mishmashy together. So go listen to them.
Do you have something
What's
you
up?
want to do?
Just listen to Spooky Mormon Hell Dream because it's dope. It's
Oh.
a good song. It's a good song.
Off of
I've listened to that. I wouldn't say it's a lot like this, but I can see why
and
you say that.
something, because a lot of us were shitting on the album, I want to say that if you did not like this album, something that our good friend Matt Gentry recommended to me a couple years ago does still hold up for me. I still listen to it from time to time. There is a folk metal band called Winter Sun and their self-titled album was one that I really enjoyed listening to before I really listened to any metal, and I still really don't, but
It's spelled W.
No,
Why?
winter.
Nope,
sun.
nope, no,
It's not
nothing
one of
stupid.
those.
It's very on the nose. It's winter, sun.
Yeah.
And
S-U-N
They're a
or
little bit more
S-O-N?
growly.
S-U-N, winter,
Oh,
sun,
nice.
the sun in the sky.
Yeah.
Winter, the season, sun, the sun.
Not the
Yeah.
God of War one.
Not the God of
Something
War.
else from-
All right, this has been Please Don't Listen to This. Your life depends on it. We've gone long, but I'm going to try and cut this down. We'll see you next week with Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show. Thanks for
Welcome back.
listening.